Icy winds are blowing across the marshland. The leaves have left the trees bare, and the birds fill the sky. They are saying goodbye. Now that winter's very well.
This is the day of the longest shadows, the shortest day of all, December 21st. 2,400 years ago, the Celts lit bonfires to strengthen the expiring sun on this day. For nature, winter is a testing time and a time of superlative life. All organisms must increase their resistance to the cold. Dehydration of body tissues, denser fur or feathers, more fat, migration, or hibernation. Winter is the long sleep for hibernators. Their pulse may drop to 4 or 5 times a minute, but not for everyone. The muskrat, really an overgrown field mouse, isn't stopped at all by the coming of winter. He has his lodge under ice to keep him warm. It has walls up to a foot thick and any number of plunge holes, so he's never frozen over.
Sooner or later, each of you will leave the textbook world of the classroom for the reality of living in the world of work, a world that permits you to be independent, to pay your way from the money you earn for work, performed in a variety of occupations. Time spent now planning for that world may be the best investment you ever make. If you're attracted to the activities and sounds of construction projects, factories, airports, shipping terminals, and such places where men and machinery are working, if you're attracted to laboratories, laboratory apparatus, or scientific instruments, if you like science fiction or scientific exploration stories, if you see meaning in pictures of blueprints, factory production layouts, wiring diagrams, or workflow charts, if you like medicine or science, if you like to work on machinery, or if you like to figure out what is wrong with things around the house that are not working right. For you may be a potential technician. You, like thousands of others, can do interesting work, rewarding work, responsible work, to put the time spent working to constructively build a better world to live in.
What you gonna do when the time comes and you have to earn your way? What you gonna do when the time comes and you have to earn your pay? What will you do when you're finally on your own? What will you do when you're finally on your own? What will you do when you're finally on your own?
What will you really do?
What will you do when you're finally on?
How do you think you can stop pollution?
My mother stopped using high phosphate detergent because they cause algae in the water, which causes water pollution.
I'm a Boy Scout. We had a newspaper guy at the junkyard bought the newspapers from us. They asked us, please, would you buy newspapers from us again?
I told my mother to buy returnable glass bottles and not buy canned pops. I told her I would volunteer to bring the bottles back to the store.
People my age can stop pollution by learning older people and other people from polluting the air.
I really think that we can stop pollution.
This man is an ordinary American. His name is Irving Feiner. Like all Americans, his life is governed by the laws of the United States and by its Constitution. But whereas most people are hardly aware of this fact, Irving Feiner has known the Constitution as a living document. Some 2 decades ago, he became for a time quite well known. In a law case that began in Syracuse, New York, and went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, Irving Feiner maintained that he had been deprived of a basic freedom guaranteed by the Bill of Rights, the freedom to express his opinion in public. Irving Feiner had lost. But if Irving Feiner's trial had been before today's Supreme Court, many lawyers feel, Mr. Feiner might well have won. The members of the Supreme Court change. So do the times. And so, too, may interpretations of the Constitution. Prominent lawyers argue that under the First Amendment, a man cannot be penalized for the expression of unpopular views. The leader of the American Nazi Party is denied a permit to address a rally in New York. He claims his right of free speech has been abridged. Civil rights leaders stand up in public streets and urge their followers to take action against long-standing abuses.
We want all of our rights.
At what point does freedom of speech become incitement to riot? In 1964, students in Berkeley, California, criticized their school and the society in which they live. When many are jailed, they point to the free speech clause of the First Amendment. In all such cases, the law must decide, as it did in the Feiner case, is this liberty or license?
A work of art is always contemporary. It reflects life. It stimulates change. The creative person responds to the mood of his society and expresses that feeling in art. Today, the expression of individuality and feeling is one of the primary concerns of an artist. How can the inward experience of feeling be translated into visual form? The expression of feelings in the visual arts depends to some extent on the medium the artist selects.
as well as his skill in manipulating those materials.
So I think you ought to, go in.
Each medium has special characteristics which influence the artist and affect his statement. The elements of art also have distinctive qualities which can represent an individual's feelings. Line, texture, shape, color, light and dark. In themselves are vehicles for visual expression of emotions. To find himself and his place in the universe, man turns to nature. From the essence of life itself, people can rediscover and express the feelings deep within them. Feelings are not tangible, but they may be expressed in tangible ways. The personal feelings of one man about his own world have been the basis for countless artistic statements, some timeless and universal in their meaning, others momentary and vague. Art, people, and feeling are inseparable. They are part of our basic experiences and existence. They are all of life.
We stand on the threshold of a great new age of exploration. Its ultimate destination, the furthest reaches of the universe. Its goal, the innermost secrets of the cosmos, the key to the very creation of that universe. Unthinkable? Perhaps. But only a dozen short years ago, it had been unthinkable that man would ever orbit around Earth or circumnavigate the moon, let alone land on it. What has happened in the decade of the 60s has been so incredible. Come with us then and observe the views from space of the Earth and the moon and beyond. the world lies at our feet, 22,000 miles below. Much of it unknown. Its riches waiting to be discovered with views from space. In space, our earthbound concepts have no meaning. Time, night, day, even up and down as we pitch, roll, and yaw. In space, all is silent. We are far above the roar of storms and ocean. We are 60 miles up now. Below, the hazardous, light-colored reefs of the Bahamas, where Columbus searched for his new world in the faith that the earth was round. See how the generations pass, like sand through heaven's blue hourglass. We fly over Cuba and Guantanamo Bay, site of the American naval outpost. Past the steep, dark mountains of Haiti now, where Columbus touched land in 1492. Our spacecraft heads over the North Atlantic, eastward, on our voyage of discovery. In space, time passes strangely. Day becomes night, and night day, as if we are passing through tunnels. Captain James Lovell.
The sun seems to come up quite steadily as it does. We can see the colors along the horizon from quickly in a deep blue to a light blue to perhaps a pink as the rays bend slightly around the Earth. Of course, it's all black right above it. And suddenly the sun just pokes itself above the Earth's horizon, and then it's a brilliant white. And as a matter of fact, you don't want to be looking just prior to sunrise at that area. You want to be looking away from it a little bit because the sun is so brilliant.
Colonel Aldrin.
If you look close, you can see some of these very uniform lines that convinces you that man's down there, and he's made his mark on the planet that is visible from 160, 180 miles.
Extending its beauty beyond the horizons, space, in all of its strangeness, stands as a challenge of our time, a test of our boldness and also of our wisdom and responsibilities to one another here on Earth. In the final analysis, the question is not, will man extend his view from space? The question is simply one of priorities, of timing. Not will we, but when will we? For all of man's staggering achievement, the stars today are but little closer to his grasp. We will reach the moon, perhaps the planets. After his incredible voyage around the moon, Colonel Borman, addressing a joint session of Congress, put it this way.
Exploration really is the essence of the human spirit. And to pause, to falter, to turn our back on the quest for knowledge is to perish. And I hope that we never forget that.
has been a presentation of ABC News.
Henry Roberts, chiller member of that vast, fun-loving group of young people between 20 and 24. But he's also in danger, for this group is responsible for the greatest incidence of venereal disease.
Now, either I call the police or you clean the whole wall.
By definition, graffiti simply means writing or pictures scratched or inscribed on a surface. The term was first applied to the ancient drawings found on the walls of caves. In any event, graffiti is as old as civilization. Some of it is highly prized as a reflection of the culture from which it came. Even our founding fathers indulged in graffiti. George Washington's initials can still be seen on the rocks at Natural Bridge. Recently, some have labeled graffiti art. And indeed, it can be attractive, amusing, and interesting. Often, graffiti is encouraged as decoration on certain walls, fences, and sidewalks. It has even inspired art and literature. On the other hand, by almost any standards, much graffiti is ugly, some of it distasteful, and a little of it offensive. One needs only to visit any major city to realize that the advent of spray can enamel and magic marker pens have given rise to a new look to America, which delights some and disturbs many. Young people must decide, is graffiti fun or is it dumb? The most famous and perhaps the most controversial graffiti is that blanketing the New York City subway system. One view is that subway graffiti, too, is a kind of art and worthy of praise. Well, it certainly does change the appearance of an often drab setting. Yet, graffiti here is a definite safety hazard and needless expense. The cost to the New York subway system alone exceeds $2 million per year. The expense is borne through higher prices. Apart from the costs are the risks of being caught and the danger of injury. A number of would-be artists have been hurt by subway cars and electric shock. Nationally, schools are frequent targets of graffiti. Although seen in virtually every area, it seems to be most concentrated in the inner cities and older neighborhoods. One reason it is not often found in the suburbs is that it is quickly removed when it appears. No one knows how much is spent totally on the correction of graffiti, but it is estimated that in schools alone the cost runs into tens of millions of dollars. To combat the epidemic of graffiti on subway trains, some cities have begun to buy them already decorated. It is also used on buildings and fences. This idea of imitation graffiti, sometimes called walls of pride, is executed by artists. Some experts say this encourages rather than discourages more graffiti where it isn't wanted. Others have tried to control graffiti by allowing it to be applied in specific places. Many think that this is a good answer, but others say graffiti is only satisfying if you have to write and run. Schools have met the problem in a number of ways, everything from security guards to poster campaigns. Some schools require parents to pay for the damages. Others have attempted to solve the problem by architectural means or use of materials which are easily cleaned. For a time, there was a certain romance attached to graffiti. It was something one did to declare oneself against authority, like funky old clothes, long hair, and hip talk. After a while, graffiti wasn't so different anymore. There was so much of it, and it was used for so many political purposes, it was boring. Besides, many kids began to find it a discord. How could you honestly support the environment and be a graffiti polluter? Even if you only write environmental slogans, you are part of the problem, not the solution. Oh, sure, seeing your name or something you wrote on the wall might make you feel like somebody for a time. But is that the kind of somebody you want to be? Drawing graffiti is a little like getting a tattoo. After the thrill of doing it is past, it begins to hurt, and the results stay with you for a long, long time. Think it over. Is graffiti fun, or is it dumb?
Hey, is it fun or just dumb? Yes, either it's fun or just dumb. You know there are kids in school, some of them break the rules. Hey, is it fun or just dumb? Maybe what they're doing's funny. Maybe it may look that way. But baby, if it's costing money, I wonder what it'll cost. Who's gonna pay? Hey, is it fun or just dumb? Yes, either it's fun or just dumb. Either it's fun or just dumb.